Let me tell you about the morning I turned a hot pink Armani suit into a federal crime scene right there on the docks at Crystal Harbor Marina in front of a crowd, two fake cops and one HOA president who thought she ran the world. Naval property belongs to this community now, and I don't care what fake paperwork you're waving around. That's what she shouted at me loud enough to spook the seagulls and make the coffee crowd at the Harbor Cafe choke on their croissants. I was standing on the deck of my own 42-foot yacht wrench in hand, hair still smelling like diesel, when Cordelia Whitmore decided this was her moment to play Queen of the Sea. You want to talk about a power trip? Picture this sunlight glinting off water so clear you could count the barnacles, wooden docks, shining with imported teak LED lights twinkling like runway markers, and million-dollar yachts swaying gently in their slips. The whole marina had that smell, salty air, expensive diesel, and fresh espresso. Cordelia swept in all 5/6 of her heels, clicking like a starter's pistol, her hair lacquered against the wind, her face red enough to match the stripes on a Coast Guard cutter. This wasn't just a dock. This was the kind of place where a slip costs more per month than a new pickup, where everyone's got an opinion and most of them come laminated. Now, I'm not the kind of guy who goes looking for trouble. 22 years in the Navy SEALs will teach you to keep your head down and your mouth shut unless it's absolutely necessary. I've faced pirates in the Persian Gulf, pirates with actual AK-47s, not someone waving a clipboard and a business card. But nothing, and I mean nothing, in all my missions prepared me for the unique brand of tyranny you get when a homeowners association president thinks her word outweighs federal law. Let me back up a sec. Name's Lieutenant Commander Caspian Blackwater. Retired mostly. The boat I was working on that morning, the Phantom Tide. Not your average fixer-upper. 18 months earlier, it had been the flagship of a Colombian cartel's smuggling fleet, Kevlar reinforced, loaded with mil-spec navigation secret compartments, the works. After a joint DEA-Navy bust, I had first refusal rights under federal law. Cost me $125,000 money well spent, considering the hull alone could shrug off small arms fire, and the comms array still pinged satellites most governments only dream about. But Cordelia didn't know any of that. All she saw was a boat she wanted to claim for the community. That morning, everything felt normal enough. Gold sunlight, dock workers hosing the planks, distant thrum of yacht generators, and me up to my elbows in engine grease. Then I started noticing weird things. Brand new security cameras pointed where they'd never been before. Nervous glances from boat owners. Expensive electronics vanishing overnight. Letters showed up covered in bureaucratic mumbo-jumbo, new fees, new regulations, a whole lot of red tape for community safety. The signatures didn't look right to me. I'd seen enough real government paperwork to spot a forgery from 50 feet. Enter Cordelia, strutting down from the clubhouse with two goons flanking her. One beefy balding with aviators too cheap to hide the panic in his eyes, the other younger, sweating through a polyester uniform and sneakers painted black. They looked like cops from a Halloween store. She called out, before she even hit the dock, voice sharp as a cleaver. "Are you the individual trespassing on community property without proper authorization?" I set down my wrench, wiped my hands on an old rag. "Ma'am, I'm Caspian Blackwater. This is my yacht, registered and paid for, and I'm pretty sure you don't outrank the U.S. Coast Guard." She whipped out a laminated document and waved it at me. "This vessel has been reported as abandoned under the Crystal Harbor Community Maritime Safety Protocol. As HOA president, I am authorized to seize it." You ever see someone so convinced of their own power they actually believe their own paperwork? That was Cordelia. But the kicker, the two guys behind her. They start flashing badges and clipboards, mumbling about the Maritime Safety and Compliance Division. Never heard of it, and trust me, I've heard of them all. Their badges looked like something you get at a kid's birthday party, and one had a radio held on with duct tape. The younger guy, let's call him Thompson, his shoes were literally peeling paint black sneakers, trying to pass as boots. The crowd started gathering, boat owners with their phones out. dock workers pausing to watch, even the seagulls circling low like they sensed drama brewing. Cordelia squared her shoulders, delivered her ultimatum. You have two options: submit to inspection and compliance processing or be removed by these officers. I almost laughed. Instead, I pulled out my phone and hit record. Ma'am, maybe you can tell me exactly which legal statute gives the HOA jurisdiction over federal maritime safety inspections. Rodriguez. The older fake cop stepped up trying to sound tough. Sir, we're with the Maritime Safety and Compliance Division. We need to inspect your vessel for unsafe operations. Gentlemen, I replied, calm as a sunrise, happy to cooperate with any legitimate inspection. So how about you show me your federal credentials? They looked at each other, 3 seconds of dead silence. In my line of work, we call that the tell. Thompson's voice cracked. Mrs. Whitmore has full jurisdiction over all maritime activities in this harbor. You could almost hear the legalese bouncing off the hulls. By now, the whole marina was watching. The tension was so thick, even the water seemed to hold its breath. I reached into my jacket nice and slow so nobody got nervous and pulled out my credential case. 22 years, all those classified missions, and here I was about to ruin this lady's day with one flip of the wrist. Gold shield flashed in the sunlight, Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent. Not retired, not some neighborhood rent-a-cop real deal. Everything froze. Rodriguez's mouth opened and closed. Cordelia stepped back, her heels scraping the planks. Thompson went sheet white. I let the silence hang a moment, let everybody soak in what was happening. Now then, I said, let's discuss this inspection you're so eager about. I'm sure you've got all the federal authorization, right? Thompson lost his nerve. First dropped his clipboard, bolted down the dock, nearly tripped over a seagull, his fake radio skimming across the water. Rodriguez hung in for 7 seconds before sprinting after him, both of them leaping into a waiting speedboat. The thing peeled out so fast it sprayed half the crowd. Cordelia just stood there, pink suit, wilting sunglasses, slipping her little empire crumbling in broad daylight. You ever wish you could watch the people who fake authority get exactly what's coming? That was this moment. I turned to Cordelia, still recording. Mrs. Whitmore, we need to talk about your authority to conduct maritime inspections. She stared at me like she'd just seen the Titanic sink again. You're actually a federal agent investigating maritime theft and fraud. Yes, ma'am. And unless I missed my guess, you just tried to have my property seized with impersonated law enforcement. The color drained from her face. That's when my phone buzzed. Deputy Martinez County Sheriff's Department. Someone had called 911, reported a dangerous federal impersonator. Yeah, that happened. I answered on speaker, loud enough for the crowd. Deputy, this is Agent Blackwater, HSI. I'm investigating systematic fraud involving fake officers. 2 just fled in a speedboat. Crowd of witnesses got it all on camera. Cordelia was on her own phone, desperate, dialing anyone who might bail her out. Within minutes, real deputies and Coast Guard officers were arriving, full uniforms, full authority. Deputy Martinez stepped out calm as could be and asked for a rundown. I gestured at Cordelia. That's your HOA president just tried to seize my federally registered yacht with 2 fake cops. Cordelia tried to play innocent, claimed she'd been duped, but the video and crowd told another story. Then the Coast Guard showed up, Chief Petty Officer Davidson, Investigative Service. We've been tracking unusual activity here. Small boats, late-night thefts, security footage, malfunctions. We'd like to coordinate. He showed me footage yachts stripped of equipment, always on nights with no security, always after a visit from someone with a clipboard. The evidence built fast. Mrs. Henderson docked a few slips down, stepped up. That Rodriguez guy took my bilge pump, said it was a federal hazard. I never saw it again. Receipts, surveillance testimonies. Cordelia's whole scam fell apart in real time. One of the fake officers, Thompson, real name Kellerman, got caught at a bus station with fake IDs, and cash spilled everything. Storage units, buyer networks, even fingered Cordelia as the ringleader. Her pink suit suddenly looked more like an orange jumpsuit in waiting. Cordelia made one last stand, climbed a dock platform, shouting, "Kneel before my HOA, I control this marina." It was so over the top, even the deputies shook their heads. Ma'am, Chief Davidson called out, "Step down and come with us. You're under arrest for conspiracy, theft, fraud, and impersonation." I snapped the cuffs on her manicure, clinking against cold metal. That sound the end of 8 years of fake power. Within a week, the whole operation unraveled. Rodriguez, real name Silva, arrested with a warehouse full of stolen gear. Cordelia got 18 years. The marina swapped out corrupt managers, boat owners got their peace back, and suddenly everyone at Crystal Harbor started checking credentials. My yacht became a local legend. HSI brought me in for more consulting, and together we busted similar scams up and down the coast. Dr. Harrison, the elderly boat owner who'd kept notes on everything, got elected as the new community rep, first order of business, honest elections, and open books. 6 months later, I was back on the Phantom Tide sunset painting the harbor gold, knowing justice had rolled in. Not like a hurricane, but like a quiet rising tide that sweeps all the garbage out to sea. My radio crackled, another HOA president, another scam, this time in Miami. I fired up the engines, ready to remind folks that titles don't make the law real, authority does. So let me ask you, have you ever seen someone try to fake their way into power and watch them get what was coming? What's your wildest fake authority story? Drop it in the comments. I bet there's more of these out there than anyone realizes. If you want to see more stories where justice takes down the bullies, hit that like, subscribe, and tell me who's the real authority where you live. Because as long as folks like Cordelia think they can run the world with a laminated badge, there'll be people like me ready to remind them what justice really looks like.